Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday. I hope you're having a fantastic day. The weather was great yesterday. Really going to be nice today. But my wife was telling me more rain may be coming on the forecast. We'll see. Maybe some more rain this weekend. Of course, we'll take it here, but definitely warmer than it's been the last few weeks, and pretty nice. This is when we get to brag, right? Arizona weather, right? Everybody else is frozen to water pipes and bundling up. And yesterday it was shorts and t-shirts and just a great day out there. So wherever you are, you can just wish that you were here, but don't come, because there's already way too many people here. So stay where you are, but just pretend that you're here. There you go. That's our new mantra. California, we're closed. Anybody wanting to move here from California, it's officially closed. We now have too many of you here. Go back. Go back to wherever it was that you came. It just doesn't stop. I saw a sign. My wife and I, we were going to the store. And I'd say go to the store now it's insanity. It's just the two of us now. You guys, Joey lives in Chicago. Our youngest is finishing up his junior year in college, so it's just the two of us. And this was a light shopping trip. Hey, let's get some dinner for today and dinner for tomorrow. Planning. We're gonna get dinner today, dinner tomorrow type stuff. And my wife was like, I need to pick up a few things. Like we were out of cheese, stuff like that, right? Just nothing. Right, four bags of groceries, $109. And my wife is walking out. She goes, "How in the heck did we spend $109?" And I'm just, it's just the way it is anymore. This, it wasn't anywhere. It was like a basket, one of those hand carry baskets, right? I mean, $100. I know it's going way, 20 years ago, way back in the ancient times, right? $100 got you at least a full cart of groceries, Jason.
Yeah, things have changed, Joe, and, well, I guess maybe they haven't changed as much. Inflation hasn't really changed. It just got a little hotter recently. But I guess it feels like a change, but it's really more of the same. And I was going to ask you about, I heard Arizona might be putting up some razor wire to keep California out. That's the last thing.
Yeah, we know that.
From which I'm hearing from you.
I was going to say it. I guess I got, we were driving yesterday. There was a sign on the entry onto the freeway about all the people from California rooting Arizona, right? And all that. And half joking, half not joking, right? Because, again, they don't understand. See, here's the thing that is infuriating. A lot of people, it's so expensive there. It's too expensive. We're going to go. I get that, right? But they don't understand why is it so much more expensive there, and it's because of all these ridiculous policies that it's been. Again, today we got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to take a hard look. Are we really in a good time? GDP growth 3%, right? And full employment, right? Granted, everyone's got to work 4 jobs, but we got full employment. Jamie Dimon, Dick Beauvais, others now. Jason, they're starting to put dates on it. They're starting to put dates. Dick Beauvais, for those, we don't talk a lot about him. I used to back in the day because he had his head so far up the Federal Reserve's backside, right? Janet Yellen, Ben Bernanke had to fart for this guy to breathe. But now that he's getting ready to retire, all of a sudden he's calling for the end of the dollar as the world's reserve currency. Jamie Dimon comes out today talking about the end and putting dates on it. So we got a great show lined up for you. Our toll-free number, 9510592, the website at allamericangold.com. But all these, when you look at the states that are growing, Arizona, Texas, Florida, South Carolina, right? A lot of red. Arizona, you could say, well, maybe not as red. But what we're having is, where are they coming from, right? California, Washington, New York, Illinois, right? Big, heavy blue states that have ridiculous policies and ridiculous spending. We talk about how the federal government's way too big. In these places, it's the state and local governments that are way too big. And yet the people that move, all they want is cheaper prices. But they don't equate that to less government. I think that's what frustrates a lot of people from states where they're coming in from or going into.
Yeah, I think they have the mistaken idea that the liberal mess they're leaving is somehow they're moving to a place where it's a better liberal state. Oh, these liberals are just better than the ones in California. They're doing it right, so let's vote more government.
Right? Yeah. Like they're joining ranks
like locusts.
Liberals. Yeah, right.
It's like locusts, Joe. Just you feed off one area till it's dead, then you go to the next one. I mean, look at Detroit. It's Baltimore. And then San Francisco turning into the next one. They just feed off of something until it dies, and it's like, oh well, there's not enough meat on the bone here. I better go to the next leg on the cow, I guess.
Patriot Radio News Hour. Yeah, the locusts are feeding. How long until the money's dead? That's coming up next. Stay with us. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday. A quick look in at the markets, and it's a Fed meeting day, so tomorrow we'll get the news. Right now they're breaking bread and not talking about things. They don't, as we learned, oh no, we really don't talk about it. We're just talking about whether or not to keep rates the same, lower them, raise them, all that nonsense. The Dow is down 5 points. The S&P's down 5 points. The NASDAQ's down 65 points. Gold's up 6 more, 2032. Silver, pretty flat here. Well, down 5 cents. Right? Keep that 5 number going. $23.20. The 10-year note, pretty flat here, 409. Crude oil's up 78 cents, 78.56. Brent crude, 82.78, as Saudi Arabia says that they will not be increasing any oil production. I'm not surprised by that announcement. But being diversified. Jason, we talk about it all the time. You got to have the gold. You got to have the silver. You got to have it. Got to have it. You're in the stock market, right? The 401ks, the IRAs, right? All of that stuff. And of course you have Joey helping you do all that. But if you want to add some more diversification to your portfolio, and my guess is you're probably going to want to, after we finish this show today, talking about one analyst saying it's the end of the dollar, Jamie Dimon echoing it, and putting a date on it. But, Jason, we've been talking about the next 5-10 years, how much harder it's going to be. Because go back to 1971, right? They officially got rid of gold really in 71. They took it from us in 33, right? Then they banned it, right? Nobody could own it. They set the price at $35. It couldn't change, right? Gold wasn't allowed to do anything. We had a $400 billion national debt in 1971. And they hated that. Bankers hated that. The Dow was 900, gold was $35. All right, let's all trade freely, right? And really, this is when the debt bubble began. I mean, now the debt is $34 trillion, but the Fed's got almost $8 trillion still on its balance sheet. I mean, they don't want to count it like it's pretend, like it doesn't exist. It's there, right? It's there. $42 trillion. By the way, right? We're going to add another what? $2.5 trillion to that this year alone, right? We'll be almost at $45 trillion by the end of 2024. From $400 billion to $45 trillion. And now these are really important banker guys. Dick Bove, over 5 decades. Yeah, you know, he's made some bad calls, made some good calls, I guess. Right? Warned about housing. Missed the financial crisis completely, but, you know, hey, nobody's perfect, I guess. Ran a lot of big firms. Dean Witter, remember them? We make money the old-fashioned way, right? That was Dick Bove, right? Jamie Dimon. We all know that name. Head of J.P. Morgan. Right? The next 5-10 years, right, this, hey, we're just going to create more debt so we can pretend things are good, is coming to an end. It's over. We got to go $2.5 trillion worth in debt just to pretend we got a good economy. You're supposed to go into big debts when the economy's bad. Not when it's good, right? Because, well, that just means it's not good. Right? If we only went $1 trillion into debt, what would the economy look like? Oh, my God, we'd be in the throes of a huge depression. Check out why refi. Up to 10.25% fixed rate of return. You heard me right. Fixed rate. You can take your money every month, use it as monthly income. You can turn it on. You can turn it off. You can compound it. There's no fees. If you need your money back before the end of the if you go 5 years, you get 10.25% every single year. Heck, you only want to go 1 year, they'll give you 6.5. Pretty great, pretty good return. But if you do need your principal, you get your entire principal back, and they'll let you keep some interest. Nobody does that. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. Be diversified. It's not correlated to Wall Street. Like I said, we're getting ready for a new time. 888-YREFI24. Remember, you got to have a minimum of $50,000. You can use existing IRAs, extra money in your bank accounts, whatever it may be. YRefi.com, 888-YRefi24. So let's get to it. Dick Bove says, hey, I'm retiring. And he started talking about, you know, of course, they did this big puff piece in the New York Times and all the places and all the things. And here's what he had to say, though. And this is a direct quote to the Times. And I want to say it was yesterday. Maybe it was the day before. The dollar is finished as the world's reserve currency. China will overtake the U.S. economy. Now, China's got its own economic problems right now, but yeah, okay. I don't think that's a huge statement. Other people may disagree, but they've got 1.2, 1.3 billion people. We got 330 million. India's probably going to take us out too, eventually, right? Because they got over 1 billion people. But he says that no other analyst will say it, Bove said, but it's monks praying to money, unwilling to speak out on the mainstream financial system that employs them. And Jason, there's a lot of truth to that, right? Hey, if I'm a banker, right, I don't want to go on TV and tell everybody the Fed is full of it and we've sold you a bill of goods and you better get ready, right? I mean, that's career suicide.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's truthful to a certain extent. I don't know if the dollar loses world trade currency status. I think the IMF model is what we're headed to. Because look, the British, even though they were destroyed after World War II, they were still considered a world power. They just weren't. They were on top anymore.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think that yes, the United States, in my mind, has already lost its world trade currency status. When everybody trades in dollars, you are the world trade currency. But there's already tons of deals in Europe and Asia that's to be being done away from dollars now. It's over with. It's actually already over with. It's just the percentage of dollars being used in the amount of world trade that's happening, and it's going down every year. And I think at some point it'll be balanced up. I mean, they want a world system, right? Well, in a world system, you'll have the basket of currencies. China bullied their way in there without qualifying status back in, I don't know, was it 2015, 2016? And they'll just balance it off. You'll have to be a certain type of country to be in that basket of currency so that your country can do better. But I mean, in China, Joe, China would have been the economic power of the world if they decided not to buy a huge military. You're buying a huge military, what? So that you look like you can fight a war? Right? I don't think they're actually going to fight a war. I think they've been bamboozled into thinking, well, if we have a huge military, we'll become the number one country, when actually that's probably what's destroying their economy. Right? There's no way they're going to take down the U.S. military in any meaningful way. Even in a proxy war, it's not going to happen. So every single central bank in this world are working together, and they've got this world tied up, and they got them beat, Joe. It's the governments of the world versus the citizens, and the world reserve currency, the dollar, that's gone. It's gone, or it's already gone. It's just not dead. It's an old man that's got a cane that's hobbling around, right, Joe? That's what the dollar is.
I think to your point, I think, we've said this before. It's not like we go away, right? That's not what we're saying, but. Do we turn into Great Britain? Do we turn into the UK? Right? Does anyone really think the pound sterling is a force in currencies? No, of course not. Now, I don't think we go that far, right? But I think what Beauvais is saying, hey, listen, at best, it's going to be a shared altar, and the Chinese are going to have just as much influence and potentially more influence than us. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, this guy has made some good, like anybody. Hey, he made some good calls, some bad calls, but he's been a bank cheerleader his whole life. That's all he's done. Right? And now that he's officially announced his retirement, and that was his going out piece, right? The dollar's done. Jamie Dimon.
Let me add one thing.
Go ahead.
Let me add one thing, Joe. Let me add one thing. The dollar might not be dead either. There's this war that just started in the Middle East. The last time one of the big countries in the Middle East, Iraq, with Saddam Hussein, he decided, well, I'm just going to trade in euros. I'm done with this whole dollar thing. We're going to sell our oil in euros, and look what happened. So as he's saying, Joe, look, it looks like the dollar's dead. Well, there's a war in the Middle East now, and boy, this seems like it's spreading, right? Wouldn't that change? Hey, when this war is over, you got to trade all your oil in dollars. I mean, what if that happens? Then the dollar's not dead, right? But what's going to have to happen to make it so, right?
Yeah, and again, I don't know, right? We'll see. There's a lot of factors here. Let's set wars aside. Right, let's set IMF, special drawing rights, Bank of International Settlements, digital currencies. Let's set that all aside. Just for a second here. Jamie Dimon started talking about the U.S. debt problem. Because remember, now tomorrow we're going to get another Treasury announcement. The Treasury auctions, I guarantee you, they're going to go up again. Well, this auction we're going to add $2 billion, and that auction we're going to add $2 billion. This auction we're going to add $2 billion. This one we're going to add $1 billion. This auction we're going to add $3 billion. This one we're going to add $1 billion. Right? That's what we keep doing. Right? Month after month after month after month after month. But Jamie Dimon pulled out a quote from Harry Figge's book, Bankruptcy 1995. And in that book, he talked about the hockey stick of debt. Now, I'm thinking we're right in the throes of the hockey stick of death, right? I mean, look, we went from, in 1995, I don't know, what was it at, like $3 trillion, $3.5 trillion, right? Now we're at, well, they admit to 34, but we were at 42 trillion. Jamie Dimon says the spike in the U.S. debt to GDP is going to continue. And he said the hockey stick hasn't even started yet. He goes, we kind of got time. But when it starts, markets around the world will be in full rebellion. When does Jamie Dimon say how much time do we have and how fast are we going to get there? Patriot Radio News Hour. That's all coming up next. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour on this Tuesday as the Fed is getting ready to meet. And then tomorrow, I believe we get the Treasury auction increases, and that may have been today, but we are pretty simple, right? We got to sell even more debt. We'll get the rate, I guess, no rate hike, no rate cut, but we'll get the Fed's rate decision tomorrow. Everyone's going to be wanting to hear two things. Quantitative tightening, right? When are they going to start winding it down? And when can we see rate cuts? That's all they want to hear. So we'll find that out tomorrow. But Jamie Dimon, after Dick Beauvais, who announced his retirement, came out and said, hey, the dollar's done. They're all done. All the fiat money's done. We know that. Going digital. But Jamie Dimon said, we got a big, big problem. The hockey stick of debt doesn't start yet, he said. We've kinda, that's never gonna, we kinda got time. And this is a guy, he doesn't choose his words lightly. I have the feeling that Jamie Dimon knows we really don't, right? We kind of got time if Congress was already cutting spending, if Congress was being serious, maybe we kind of know, but we don't, right? Nobody wants to cut anything. But he says that it's over. And let me just, and this is something where I say it all the time, and we'll get to it. When it starts, the markets around the world, there will be rebellion. And that's similar to when we say, how do you go bankrupt? It's gradually at first, and then all of a sudden it happens all at once. Bam, it just happens. That's what he's saying here. Right? This is your warning. He's giving you the warning now. You've got it now. Do something or don't. But believe me, when it happens, it will be too late. By the way, Jamie Dimon says 2035, it's over. He calls the U.S. debt crisis the worst possible way to do it. He goes, it's a cliff. We see the cliff. It's about 10 years out. Okay, so maybe it's 2034, and he says about, right? Yeah, could about mean 2030, right? Yeah, it could, right? Could it be 2031, 2032? Listen, that's not a lot of time. He goes, it's a cliff. we see the cliff. And he goes, we're driving right over it, and we're not stopping, right? It's not like we're hitting the brake. Jamie Dimon's like, hey, we still got our foot on the gas, even though we see the cliff. He said, back when I graduated high school, the debt to GDP ratio was 35%. Right, we're at 100 and, 120, 130% right now. Depends on which GDP calculation you want. And again, that's not counting what's on the Fed's balance sheet, right? Because if you added that $8 trillion, right now we're talking about 140%, 150, well, not quite 150%, but we're getting there. But nonetheless, he said, back then, a deficit during a recession. So in other words, how much more would you spend than you're taking in during a recession? He said 4 to 5%. 4 to 5%. We're spending 8.5% during a boom time. This makes no sense. Jamie Dimon is telling you this is idiotic economics. You don't even have to be a smart person to understand that this is no longer sustainable. This is about the security of the world, he went on to say. We need a stronger military. Jason, right, talking military. We need a stronger America. And we need it right now. And Jason, we're not getting it, are we?
Yeah, we're not getting it. Yeah, anytime someone says stronger military, it's spending. spend. I don't get why these guys think that just spending for the spite of spending is going to make things stronger. But it's always, when the economy is really bad, it's a military spending, and it's. Yeah, the whole thing is, coming from a guy who's been selling all of his stock, by the way. So he's letting you know that things are going to go wrong somewhere here in the future. He's gotten out. The whole stock market going up here recently is showing you that time and again when they have these bust cycles that they get all the suckers that come in late, and then the thing crashes. And that might take a little while. That might take till the end of this year, but it'll happen. These asset classes might be going up. The Fed might play around with lowering rates. And Jamie Dimon, there you go. He's giving you all this information, Joe. But what is he doing? He's exiting. Everyone needs to spend. Everyone keep on spending. Meanwhile, I'm getting out. Yeah.
Well, you know what?
I think he's kind of helping himself out.
He did both sides. This spending is stupid, right? We're driving over the cliff with this spend, and the whole world knows it. Oh, by the way, we still need this strong. I guess what he said was we can cut everything else but military. I mean, what do we cut? Social Security? You cut Medicare, Medicaid? I mean, what are you going to cut? If we only did Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, defense, and then, of course, got to pay the interest, got to pay that, right? You got to pay that. We'd still run a budget deficit. Right? We'd still run a budget deficit, probably $500, $600, $700 billion budget deficit. We can get rid of every other program. Right? No food stamps, no border, no. Hey, listen, we're not even paying for judges, right? We're not paying for any federal courts. We're not paying for the Supreme Court. We're not paying lawmakers. We're not paying nothing. We're not doing any highway spending. We're not nothing. And we'd still run deficits. That's the facts. And this is why Jamie Dimon was talking about, man, we're getting ready to go over the cliff. And instead of slowing down and maybe, hey guys, if we slow down, we'll go over the cliff later. Right? We'll go. Instead, we're stepping on the gas. Right? We're trying to get to the cliff even faster. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after. 800-951-0592. Today's special $20 gold pieces. These are the pre-1933 $20 gold pieces. You guys know why you want them. You can buy them, sell them, trade them in any amount. And don't have to worry about when you're selling, hey, I need your Social Security information. I need your address because I got to send you a 1099, right? Nope, you're on your honor when you're selling back bullion. Gold bars and Krugerrands, Maple, all that stuff, all the other stuff that you can put in IRAs. Anything over $10,000, we've got a 1099. And believe me, when I first started, gold was $300. We were telling people that back then, but a lot of people were like, I don't care. Come on, God, how much gold that is before I got to worry about $10,000. Now it's 5 ounces is too much. I mean, think about it. At 2,500, 4 ounces is too much. Right? At 3,300, you're down to you only can sell 2. Because that third one would be too much. Being private, there's a lot to say for it. You're going to save $25 a coin. Gold's up 8 right now, 2033, 2034. Instead of $22.50, $22.25. I'll give you a little motivation. You want to buy a quantity, 20 or more, 2,200. But I only can do that for 2 people because there's not a lot of 20s out there. We talked about this yesterday. The big money's coming in, and they're just buying it. If you want to buy 20 of them, it's $44,000 at $2,200. But I only can do that twice, or one person can buy 40, and you can buy them all out that way. 800-951-0592. Today, UPS. Remember, they just made that big labor deal. Everyone got paid. Massive layoff announcements from UPS. 12,000 workers are being let go by UPS. As a matter of fact, I want to say it's going to start today. They reported earnings today. Wasn't great. Package volume is down. And so, we're starting to see the non-tech companies lay off. Last week we talked about Rite Aid closing 55 stores. Today, Rite Aid has hired liquidators, so this is not a good sign. Once you've hired the liquidators, that's about it. And I want to say, Rite Aid, I don't know how many stores they have left, maybe 1,000, 1,500, something like that. But it looks like all the Rite Aids that were left, Walgreens, CVS, they picked its carcass. And then the government said, well, these are the stores you can't buy because you'll have monopolies. We don't want that. We got to have pretend competition. And now that pretend competition, Jason, going away.
Yeah, that's been going away for a long time. And this next market crash that we're talking about, it'll consolidate even further. Small businesses are going to be the big losers. It's always the average guy, especially with the inflation. We haven't had the higher inflation like this since the 70s and early 80s. And with this inflation, what it's doing to the small businesses and the average middle class is just flattening it even further. So, yeah, get more mergers, more, it really is just a couple of companies that own everything anyways. Coca-Cola and Pepsi, they're owned by the same company. McDonald's, Burger King, owned by the same group of companies. So they just, like you said, the pretend competition, Joe. It's one of those things where all the jars are, you're trying doing a taste test and they cover the labels up. It's kind of like it's the same thing in every one of the jars. It's the same companies that own it. The choices have gone way, way down. So, I mean, yeah, man, Joe, just in our lifetimes, I don't consider ourselves really old guys. We're old guys. We're not really old guys. The kinds of choices we used to have, the kind of local places. If you drove out of your town, the other town had all kinds of different choices, and now it's all these these it's Walmart, McDonald's, it's the same group of stores. Like what did I see?
Every exit's the same, no matter where you go, right?
Yep.
I go up to Colorado,
Yep.
you got the same restaurants that we got, right? It's just this. Every exit all over America is the same, right? You've lost that hometown feel, right? And everything's been corporatized, and of course, listen. They changed the rules. They changed the laws. That's how this all really got done. But now, like I said, I'm never comfortable when they tell you things like, well, we kind of maybe can do something, which means you really can't. We've got about 10 years. What does that really mean? Right? We're going to find out in less than 6 weeks when these money market accounts dry up. Or I'm sorry, not money markets. Reverse repo money dries up. Right? The Fed is going to be immediately ending, quantitative. And I say immediately. They're going to announce tomorrow they're going to start winding down quantitative because they have to. What does that mean? They got, well, the $8 trillion, just under $8 trillion in treasuries and mortgages that they pretend to own. They made money up out of thin air and bought these things. What they're saying is the markets can't absorb that anymore. So what does that tell us? Right? That means the window, they were selling about $95 billion a month. Well, to me, that indicates, Jason, that's all the cushion that's left. They're going to stop selling the $95 billion because the market can't handle any of it. That kind of tells us, man, well, as these treasury sizes increase every 3 to 6 months, the time that about 10 years sure feels a lot shorter than that, doesn't it? Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment when we return. 800-951-0592, $20 gold. Man, buy it while it's still relatively inexpensive here. $2,225, 20 or more, 2,200 at 800. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting the throat slash coming from the girls. We're out of the 20 or more. I'm not surprised there. 2225 at 800 951 0592. And again, I think $20 gold's just going to be that way. There's just really limited inventories on it, and I think that's going to continue. Just think about what we're just finishing here with. We've got to stop the quantitative tightening because the debt markets are full, right? The reserve that they had built up, all the money that they had given out during COVID in this reverse repo, it's going to be gone. And then they're like, okay, well, man, we just can't stomach another $95 billion a month. That's not that much. I mean, when you think about it, come on, the way our government spends, right, $95 billion isn't a lot. There's not a lot of rope left in this. And I think that's kind of what Jamie Dimon is saying. Hey, we've papered the world with dollars. And I actually think, Jason, what's going to happen is quantitative easing's coming back. I don't know when. Is it going to come back in 2024? Maybe. I think it'll come back for sure by 2025 because the world just can't digest any more U.S. debt. And I think that's kind of this cliff. Everybody sees it. You know, Nassim Taleb wrote a book, The Black Swan, right? That unexpected event. He calls the U.S. debt bubble a white swan. Right? He goes, we all see it. Right? Everybody sees it. Jamie Dimon kind of saying the same thing. Yeah, we all see it. And again, the problem is, what do you do, right? I mean, we could crash the economy, do all that, give us more time. I guess, why the hell not, right, Jason? Hit the gas and just drive right over the cliff.
Yeah, it all depends on how it all comes down because, like I think I just said, it was yesterday, and I always forget this guy's name, the guy who's Mike Baum on the Big Short. He's talking, he's like, look, there's still room on the runway. We can pay, we can service this debt. And he's going off the factor of, how much can you spend? How much quantitative easing. See, quantitative easing, I think, Joe, has never stopped. I think the only reason that the balance sheet of the Fed has come down a little bit and the money supply came down a little bit is because they were moving more currency. And, of course, the one thing that makes the money supply go down the most is paying off debt. So if more debts are being paid off by the big banks, when loans are paid off, when you the person out there, are paying your loans down, that actually destroys the money supply. So quantitative tightening was, I think, simply more money leaving the system than they're pumping in. But I think they've been pumping in this whole time. We just don't get to know who they're pumping it to. The guys that are coming to these auctions and buying these treasuries, Joe, I think they've got contracts with the Fed. The Fed is buying them. They just have more falling off than they have that they're adding. That's what's happening. They're trying to ease their way through the cycle with its higher interest rates. That's their plan for a soft landing, Joe. I don't know if they'll make it. Regardless, it's going to be real expensive to live life in America from now on.
800-951-0592. Jason and I, we're coming right back with the half-empty cup. And yes, Elon Musk, the Neuralink, the first cyborg, is here. Join us for it.